Haney Biz presents Entrepreneurs Unlimited. Here's your host, Mark Haney.
We are here with Scott Nelson, founder and CEO of Big Controls. How you doing this morning, Scott?
Great, Mark. Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. Thank you for being here. What is Big Controls?
Big Controls. So let me give it to you in 4 words. Government, incentives, compliance, management.
Now, that sounds technical. Break it down for us C students here. Government, 4 words. What do those words mean to your business?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, probably the easiest way is to give you sort of an anecdotal story. Most of us here, Sacramento region, know who Tesla is.
You bet.
Right? So
Sports cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't want a Tesla, right?
No doubt.
So at Tesla, most people are familiar with the fact that they are building currently a $5 billion plant, a manufacturing plant just outside of Reno, Nevada,
Right.
So what a lot of people aren't familiar with is the fact that they are receiving $1.2 billion with a B dollars in corporate tax credits and incentives. Yes.
That's a big number.
Big number, right? Now, here's the thing. The government just doesn't hand that money over to you, right? So it comes over a number of years, typically 10 to 30 years, and companies got to hit milestones along the way, right?
Right.
So
you got to hire employees and grow the community a little bit.
Absolutely. So you've got to hire employees and you've got to invest money, right? Those are the 2 key components of economic development.
Okay.
Economic Development 101.
That's the incentive package. Hey, you grow enough you hire enough employees, we'll give you $1.2 billion.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So, but what happens is along the way on an annual basis, you've got to report that information from a compliance perspective. And if you happen to drop the ball for some reason, and by the way, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. You could either lose the incentive for that year or you could lose it for the entire duration of that incentive, which can add up to hundreds of millions of dollars.
You bet.
So big problem, right? So what we do is we are a cloud-based solution to handle that problem and solve that pain point, right? So we're saving companies money and we're making them money and putting it on the bottom line.
Yeah, we located a security camera business into Texas and built a building and hired a lot of people, and they gave us subsidies a lot smaller than what you mentioned, but still very helpful to building our business. And there's subsidies at different levels, right? Federal, state, are there local subsidies?
Absolutely. Lots of local subsidies, property tax abatements, for example, even infrastructure grants. So Tesla's building in the middle of nowhere, to be honest with you. So they're going to have to actually build infrastructure to get their employees from the highway up to their facility. So that costs money, right? You got to put that infrastructure in that doesn't exist. So a lot of communities will step in and actually provide that assistance.
Now, you and I met at a Velocity Venture Capital event, and you and I were sitting at the same table. I was getting ready to MC the event, and you were there as a participant. And we kind of hit it off. We're talking, and eventually asked you to come on the show. Now, your company is in its early stages. You're in the testing stage. You've got a few customers. Do you have revenue yet?
No, we're pre-revenue, so we are in private beta trials right now. So we do have a few customers. We're adding a couple more this quarter, and we'll be doing a soft launch in April.
Okay, proving the concept, and it's kind of interesting because a lot of entrepreneurs are thinking, okay, how do I launch a company? Maybe I'll go get venture capital. Maybe I'll get some seed money. You're going to go and raise money once you've proven out your concept.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you a little bit here, Scott. Let's say I'm a venture capital guy, or I'm an angel investor. Give me a quick pitch on your company. Been talking about messaging, and if you can deliver the right message, you can be a huge rainmaker. I want to test you out a little bit here in front of everybody, in front of our whole audience. Pitch me on Big Controls.
Absolutely. You know, I wish I had a couple of slides here, but we're going to do that without slides because we're on radio.
Great.
So, you know, we talked a bit about the pain point, right? Companies dropping the ball from a compliance perspective. There's another pain point that we haven't talked about, and that's the fact that the the Financial Accounting Standards Board, which is everyone calls the FASB, the regulatory setting body for all companies who account under U.S. GAAP, which stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. And so for all companies, public and private, the FASB sets these regulatory standards. So they're working on a project right now that's going to create new disclosure requirements around government incentives.
Okay.
And this is a huge deal. And quite frankly, not enough people are talking about it. The exposure draft came out in November of last year. The comment period just closed. And, we were one of 39 different entities that actually submitted a comment letter. There were only about 10 or less companies that actually submitted letters. So, but ironically, just to give you a quick example, Raytheon, large defense contractor, right? Huge company.
You bet.
Their chief accounting officer actually states in their comment letter that they currently do not have systems in place to track government incentives. Can you imagine that?
Kind of crazy, huh?
Right? So guess what Big Controls does? We do that.
You do that.
Yeah.
Well, as an investor, I'm sitting here thinking, if I want to invest in this company, where's my upside? It seems like a niche business. How scalable is it?
Actually, it's very scalable. So government incentives don't just happen in the United States. It's a global phenomenon. In fact, Europe is very active. Even Asian countries are super active in this space. They provide companies with, in fact, cash grants overseas. We see that a bit here in the U.S., but it's very prevalent overseas. So this is a very scalable business. This is something that where we're starting out in the U.S. is our footprint, and we're going to scale internationally.
But I'm going to need to get my money out of it somehow. When am I going to get my return? Who are we selling to?
In terms of who are we selling?
Who's going to acquire us?
Right. Yeah, good question. There's definitely some players in the ecosystem that we have, sort of our eyes on. I would think that we would fit nicely into a large ERP system.
Okay.
An Oracle, an SAP, somebody of that nature.
You bet. And how risky is this?
From my perspective,
How soon before we're profitable?
you know what? From our projections, end of year 2.
End of year 2. And is there any, when you think about burn rate, what goes through your head?
Honestly, one of my big philosophies in starting companies is you got to be capital efficient.
Okay.
You have to be, right? So I've actually started this company bootstrapped.
Oh, okay.
So I bootstrapped this thing myself 100%. So I understand what capital efficiency is when I've got my own money on the line.
Okay. And just thinking about the future, you're profitable after a year or 2. And besides you, what kind of management team do you have?
So currently, right now, we've got a technical founder that's on the co-team. That's on the team as well. A guy named Martin Fried Nielsen. He came actually out of Borland. I think we're about the same age, right? So
I think I'm a little bit older than you. Thank you.
so you probably remember Quattro Pro, right?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Way back in the days,
Yeah.
like it predates Excel spreadsheets.
Yes,
basically.
yes.
So he was the guy. That was his product, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's a Danish guy. Came over from Denmark. And actually he also built a company called NetOps, which is public company now. He grew that team from the inception all the way through IPO, and had his own SaaS company as well.
Oh, okay.
Solid guy, great background. On the marketing side, a guy named Eric Baxter. Eric, I've been working with in a lot of different companies that I own, and he's just an all-around creative guy that has a lot of vision. And he's just been super meticulous with our product, particularly with the UI, which is outstanding and super easy to use. We wanted to make the user experience really, really intuitive, and he's done a great job with that.
So where do your revenue streams come from? You've got who's your client, and where do the different revenue streams come from?
Yeah, so the larger you get, the more complex, the organization, right? And the more incentives that you're probably going to have. And so the larger, really, the pain point. So we're starting out actually tackling the lower end of the Fortune 1000 and the higher end of the middle market. But frankly, we can actually go down into SMB. We do have a module that we're actually, about to release. It's part of the product, and it allows companies to actually search out incentives. So not just manage them, but actually search them out. So say, example, Tesla's going to go build another facility, maybe in the Southeast, and they want to check out incentives in Georgia, maybe in Alabama, et cetera. They can actually use our tool to uncover those incentives.
Here with Scott Nelson, founder and CEO of Big Controls. Definitely an interesting story about a business that most of us probably wouldn't have thought of before. I want to thank you, Scott, for coming on the show today and sharing this. I think your pitch is right on target, and I think that there's definitely a ton of upside there. So as a guy that's around this a lot, you're very good at communicating your message. So I really appreciate it. I also want to thank Dale Carlson for joining us on the show today. I think he probably brought a tear to the eye of a few people, and I know that his employees, his team, and our community, and myself Appreciate him very, very much. So coming up next week, you're going to meet the founder of Paul Martin's, right? Paul Martin's restaurant chain. Mr. Brian Bennett will be here with us next week, and he has got a number of restaurants around the western part of the state, and including his first one right there in Roseville. And I want to thank our sponsor, Limitless Limo, where even the big dogs like Snoop Dogg enjoy the ride. So don't use a limo with no headroom. Come on now. Use a luxury Mercedes stand-up coach with all the headroom in the world. Just go to ll916.com. So coming up after the break, we are going to talk a little bit more about our takeaways from today, about communication, about developing a message, and the best vehicle for delivering your message. I'm Mark Haney. This is Entrepreneurs Unlimited on KHTK Sports 1140, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at haneybiz.com. So we're asking the question, how do you develop your message? And we talked to two guys today that have definitely honed their message. But why is developing a message so important? Is it so that you can be a rainmaker? You got the fancy house and the nice car and the toys, and you're blessing your family and blessing others like Dale Carlson has done? Or are you trying to make some other kind of impact on this world with your message? Because I think building that message obviously is important if you want to drive home the point. So, hey, guys, I'm back here with Marcus Haney and Tom Cisneros, and we're talking about building your message. How do you do that?
Man, I got to be honest with you. After listening to the interview with Dale, I was moved. I was taken aback by his charitable sense of giving back to the community that he has built professionally, and the message I got from that was, why the heck wouldn't, if I was in the market for a mattress, why wouldn't I buy from somebody like that gave back to the people that give so willingly of themselves?
No doubt.
That's the message I got.
A powerful message.
Absolutely.
And you think if it's a message that you care about, that Dale Carlson cares about, that he's got the conviction to stand behind. I was talking to Scott Marsh, who's a good friend of mine from down here at KHTK Studios, and he said something the other day. He says, Mark, you've got to have a courage of conviction. I thought about that as I care about my message, so I've got to, as I'm crafting my message, I need to think about how sincere I am about my message, how much I care about my message, and what my message means to me. And so you've got to have a message that gets people's attention. You know, we've talked about my show up, shock 'em, and systematize strategy, and we're here. We've showed up, right? We're at the radio station. We've started a limo company. Big Controls is getting ready to launch. But have we shocked them? Have we done anything to get their attention that gets them to take another look? And have we said what we need to say in a way that's compelling enough to have them take another look? Dale Carlson was compelling today in his story about the ticket to a better night's sleep. He was compelling. He had my attention. So I think if we want to, my dad always used to tell me, don't open your mouth unless you have something to say. And I think what he meant by that is, if you don't have a reason, if you're not trying to change somebody's behavior, if you're not trying to have a ripple in the world, then maybe you ought to keep your message on the down low and hold back until you have something that, like Scott Marsh that says, you have the courage to speak about. And so as I think about Entrepreneurs Unlimited and my message and thinking about how I want to deliver to, I'm thinking about my target, which is really the entrepreneurs, right? It's really people that want to chase their dreams. And right now I'm talking to Sacramento, right? We're on KHTK Sports 1140, and we're talking to Sacramento, and we've taken a nice, small cross section of people that want to chase their dream, and we're speaking to those people today. And I think that one of the things we have to do is narrow down that target, right? We got to be everywhere, but within our target. A good friend of mine, Richard Bakken, talks about ubiquity and being everywhere. And Dale Carlson is everywhere on the West Coast, right? Now he's national, so their sleep stores are everywhere. But for me, I'm thinking about people who want to chase their dreams, and I'm speaking directly to you. I've narrowed down my universe of my ubiquity, and I'm delivering my message to you that as you succeed, I succeed. 1 + 1 = 3. Together, we are stronger, and I am here for you. So God bless all you guys that are chasing your dream, making your message happen. This is Entrepreneurs Unlimited. Never above you, never below you.
Always by your side.